Legends 100.3.
This is Dave Damiani, and welcome back to another episode of Bending the Standard. Bending the Standard is brought to you by Highgate Hotels, home of the Park Central and the West House Hotel in the heart of Manhattan, right across the street from Carnegie Hall and blocks away from Central Park in the Theater District. And there's live music Wednesday through Saturday in the Park Central Lounge. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have a contemporary on the show today, a young man from New York, just about 24 years old, and I'm delighted to have him on, our dear friend, Chris Ruggiero. Welcome to Bending the Standard, Chris, and how are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you, Dave? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I've been going through some of these tracks and some of this music that you've recorded, and I'm so impressed at what you've done with this. And we talk about the Great American Songbook, and we talk about bending the standard and taking our own interpretations. And I love some of these tracks that you've done with the great arranger Charlie Colello and some of the other people that you've worked with. So let's just play something right off the bat, and let's play something that, and then we'll come back on the other side and we'll talk about it. Let's play a song that, I don't know if I would consider this a standard, but I do now, because of the way you guys did it and the way you guys are presenting it. But that's what it's all about. It's about expanding the Great American Songbook, bringing in new songs, and bringing in a new generation of listeners.
So here's Bet You By Golly Wow by Chris Ruggiero, arrangement by Charles Colello.
There's a spark of magic in your eyes. Candyland appears each time you smile. Never thought that fairy tales came true, but they come true when I'm near you. You're a genie in disguise, full of wonder and surprise. And bet you by golly wow, you're the one that I've been waiting for forever. And ever will my love
Charlie did the arrangement on it. It's kind of a funny story how we arrange songs when it comes time to arrange a song. As they say, it takes a village to do things, and it does when we work on songs together. We actually, my manager Joe Mirioni and I, we flew to Vegas before recording my I Am Chris Ruggiero album. And we took a bunch of songs that we thought we might want to record, songs that were maybe top 10 hits of the 60s, 70s, and songs that were timeless, songs like Betcha by Golly Wow and My Cherie and more. And we brought them into a recording studio with Clint Holmes, who you know.
Yes,
And
yes, love Queen.
yeah, and Clint really helped me find my voice. Like, for instance, I sang the song Put Your Head on My Shoulder on the album as well. And Clint said, forget about the original version. How would you sing it if someone was sitting right next to you and you had to tell them to put their head on your shoulder? And so immediately I sang the song totally different than I did. We actually stripped the tempo from it and I sang it in my own way. And so that was kind of how these arrangements were born. And then we took them home with us to Charlie Colello, and he put the strings on them and the horns and finalized them. So it took a village to make them happen. It was teamwork, but I'm so blessed that I have such great people around me between Charlie Colello and Clint and Joe Mirioni, my manager. So it was really the four of us that made it happen, and a fabulous piano player by the name of Michael out in Vegas as well.
Well, you're talking about people that understand this music. You're talking about legends between your manager Joe and Clint Holmes and Charlie Colello. You're talking about people that have been in this business for a really long time. They understand the music, and it's so crazy because I just last week, I don't know if you heard it, but we had on Michael Feinstein, and we talked about, because he's a preservationist, and he talks about the Great American Songbook, and we talk about some of the singers that just kind of like, they show up and they do these gigs, and there's a lot of them in Florida. They show up and they do these gigs and they just sing to tracks, which is fine. It's fine.
Sure.
But there's another level of what we're talking about here with you, and we're talking about some of these young artists that are really actually creating their own lane and creating their own style. And that's what I call bending the standard, what you're doing. And Michael was saying sometimes when, if he has to with and I had a vocal teacher that did this, made me read the lyrics off a piece of paper as if I was an actor. He'd forget about the melody, just read the lyrics off the paper. And I think Clint probably got you to think that way a little bit. Is that what you're kind of?
Absolutely. Well, the bones of these songs are so great. I mean, the lyrics are so meaningful that, yes, I read over the lyric sheet quite a few times before singing the songs. And what Clint actually had me do was write a whole story around the lyrics of the song, my own story, something that was personal for me, or if I never maybe had that experience to make up a story, but there was a whole story written that was actually longer than the lyrics of the song, so that as I was singing the song, I was imagining this whole story as to where I was, what was the person wearing, all that kind of stuff, the imagery.
That's fantastic. We were talking about Frank Sinatra a little bit, and we were talking about how maybe sometimes when you hear a Frank Sinatra version of one of the standards, you might not only have heard, he might not only have been the third or fourth or fifth person to record it, but it might have been the third or fourth or fifth time he recorded it when you're listening to the version that you're listening to. And people sometimes base it off of that version as opposed to going back and listening. It might have been, Fred Astaire that introduced the song. So it's nice to go back and try and find the original version of the song when it came out, the writer's intention, who was probably in the room with the first recording, and then maybe go listen to a couple other versions. But I really like what you're doing here with these songs. And explain why these songs, as opposed to there's guys out there and gals out there that are doing, Justin Timberlake and Michael Jackson. What was it about these songs that spoke to you as a young? Because you're young. I mean, you're born. These songs are way after you're born.
I'm almost 25 now. Very shortly I'll be 25, but I'm still 24. I'm holding on to it as long as I can. But I fell in love with this music at a very young age. When I was about 12 years old, I was a kid that grew up. I was kind of weird in school because I didn't like the music that the other kids were listening to. They were listening to Justin Bieber maybe and Justin Timberlake and whoever else was out at the time. And it was good music. It just didn't click with me until I heard this music, the music of the 50s, 60s, 70s. And at first, in particular, it was really the music of the 50s that my grandfather introduced me to. But the reason I fell in love with it is because the stories that the songs were telling. The melody, the lyric is timeless, and like I said last time, that there are songs about love and falling in love and wanting to be in love. And I've always been a lover at heart, I guess you could say. So that's why I've had such a connection with these songs, and they do mean a lot to me.
Let's play another track, and I want you to pick something from wherever, whatever you want to play. I want you to play something that you want people to hear.
Okay. Well, let's pick. This happens to be my favorite song to do in the show now from the album Run to Me, which is a Bee Gees tune, but we definitely took it to a different place and did it different than the Bee Gees did it. And I happen to like what we did with it. I think it came out really pretty.
Here's "Run to Me" by Chris Ruggiero.
If ever you got pain in your heart, someone has hurt you and torn you apart. Am I unwise to open up your eyes to love me and let it be like they said it would be? Me loving you, girl, and you loving me. Am I unwise to open up your eyes to love me? Run to me whenever you're lonely. Run to me if you need a shoulder now and then. You need someone older, so darling, you run to me. And when you're out in the cold, no one beside you and no one to hold. Am I unwise to open up your eyes? And when you've got nothing to lose, nothing to pay for, nothing to choose, am I unwise to open up your eyes to love me? Run to me whenever you're lonely. Run to me if you need a shoulder now and then. You need someone older, so darling, you run to me. Run to me whenever you're lonely. Run to me if you need a shoulder now and then. You need someone older, darling. Just run to me. So darling, you run to me. Run to me.
All right, Chris, that's amazing. So was that Charlie as well that did the
Yeah, that whole album.
whole album,
Yes.
So
And
explain to me.
Oh,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
And the song was my manager Joe's idea. He brought it to me, and that song was a song that I actually didn't grow up listening to. Run to Me, I had never heard it before we recorded it, and he said, "Trust me, it'll come out good. You're gonna like it." And so I learned the song, and then Charlie did the arrangement on it. Once Charlie did the arrangement, I said, "That's it. This song is for me."
So what type of response are you getting from the people when you go and do a show, or when you do these songs? Is everyone kind of like, are they kind of like blown away by the fact that you're connecting at this level with these, They're not, I mean, they're standards. They're standards. It's the new standard. That's what I'm saying. Like bending the standard is not just taking a song and putting your spin on it. It's also introducing a song that maybe could have been a standard if it was written 20 or 30 years prior to when they were written.
Well, I'm always a little worried about how they might respond at first because I don't want them to think that I took a song that they grew up listening to and I changed it, because you think maybe they want to hear it in the original way that they were used to hearing it. But I gotta say, thankfully, we've never gotten a comment about, ruining the song or changing it. In fact, they love the arrangements and they appreciate them so much. And the biggest compliment for me is that they'll come up to me and say, I've heard that song before, but I never heard it done in that way. And I like it even better than the original version. And I never really got the meaning of the song, but I do now. So for me, that's the best compliment I could possibly get.
I went and saw Harry Connick Jr. I'd say it was right before COVID. He had a Cole Porter show that he did in New York, and he actually sat he had a touch screen, and behind him he had a big giant monitor, and he talked about to the audience. He actually explained to the audience that this is what an arrangement is because he was doing night and day, and he goes, first thing you got to do is you got to find the key, and he found the key for the song that felt comfortable, and he explained to them, this is too high, this is too low. And then he went and said, okay, like the tick, tick, tick of the tum-tum. And he said, should I start with a trumpet? Should I start with a hi-hat? What should I start with? And he explained how he arranged the song, where it logically made sense. Do you do that in the show? Do you explain to the audience a little bit about how you took the original and then why you chose the instrumentation and what you chose to kind of bring it your own way? Because people are genuinely interested in that. They just don't know that they are.
That's a good question. I tell stories about why I'm doing the song, for sure, but I've never actually gone into depth about how the song was arranged and made in that aspect. But we do talk about going to the studio with Charlie Colello and doing these songs. And in interviews, of course, like now, I talk about that all the time. But that's a good idea. Maybe I'll throw that into the show.
Well, here's another question. When you do a show, like, because I hear on some of these tracks you have strings and stuff like that. Do you have, what is the instrumentation for a live show most of the time when you do it?
Most of the time we go in with a 6-piece band, so it's a 4-piece rhythm section, and we bring 2 horns. I love horns because, like you, I'm old-fashioned, and to me the horns give it that vintage feel, and I'm all about the authenticity. So we bring horns on the show, and then my piano player is really, really great. And then frequently we do have 11 pieces, which for me is a lot of fun because we'll bring a Latin percussionist, we'll have 6 horns on stage, and that's when it really I get super excited when because I love that big band stuff too from the big band era. So all those horns and bells and whistles just make it that much better.
Now, when you talk about the 50s, and we were talking about the doo-wop stuff, because you said your grandfather was kind of like a big influence. Who were the 50s artists that you were listening to that you really were like, wow, this is what I love?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was the Platters, the Duprees, the Five Satins. There were so many great groups. The Flamingos. How could I forget the Flamingos? That was one of the greatest groups of all time. I mean, they sang "I Only Have Eyes for You." There's a song that'll never ever go out of style. You can be any age and you could have been born anywhere, and I only have eyes for you.
Hey, Chris, let's go back and play that Flamingos tune.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that song, and I love it. I remember from the Bronx Tale, and you know what? Sinatra did a version of this as well.
My love must be a kind of blind love. I can't see anyone but you. Chop, chop. Chop, chop. Chop, chop. Chop, chop. Chop, chop. Are the stars out tonight? sky. I only have eyes for you. I don't know when we're in the garden. On a crowded avenue. You are here, and so am I. Maybe millions of people go by, but they all disappear from view. And I only have eyes for
All right, Chris, I love it. I love it. So talk about that a little bit. What is it about that tune?
Well, that was one of the first songs that my grandpa ever introduced me to. I Only Have Eyes for You. It was a song he grew up listening to, and he used to go and watch the Flamingos all the time, practice, and he would actually look at their dance moves and learn a lot from them because he used to be a singer as a kid as well. And one of the greatest things for me was that when I recorded that album called Time Was, I brought my grandpa into the studio to lay down some background vocals on that song. And it was his first time in the studio in over 50 years. So it was cool to get him back in the studio, and we sang together. So that was just a dream come true for me to have him in the studio. We had a great time together.
It's crazy because you know what it is. These songs keep coming back, and they keep coming back, and they keep. I don't want to say that they're like recycled.
Yeah.
All these, and a lot of the young artists are asking for the Sinatra tunes, and you know the doo-wop thing is so huge right now. I mean, it really is.
No, it's a great sound.
Did you ever sing in a group like that with like four guys? Did you ever do anything like that?
I've never sang with the doo-wop group, but of course when I was on PBS, I had the privilege of singing with the Duprees when I was 18, and I sang their #1 hit, "You Belong to Me." So for me, that was a dream come true because that was one of my favorite songs of all time.
Awesome. Hey Chris, let's play another one. What was another one you want to play from your album?
Let's see, what should we play? How about My Cherie Amour? I really like what we did with that.
All right, here we go. My Cherie Amour. Chris Ruggiero sings.
That you were, how I wish that you were, how I wish that you were my Cherie Amour, lovely as a summer day, my Cherie Amour, distant as the Milky Way, my Cherie Amour. Smile dance among the crowd. Maybe someday I'll share your little distant cloud. Oh, Sherry, more pretty little one that I adore. You're the only girl my heart beats for. How I wish that you were mine. How I wish that you were, how I wish that you were, how I wish that you were mine. How I wish that you were, how I wish that you were, how I wish that you were.
You're listening to Bending the Standard. This is Dave Damiani with our special guest, Chris Ruggiero.
Hey, so let me ask you something. What was it? Was this from? What was the movie with Bradley Cooper? Silver Linings Playbook. Did you see that when he did that movie?
No, I didn't, but I'll have to watch it now.
Oh my God, because that's what I'm thinking of. That whole movie's based upon him, and every time the song comes on, it haunts him because that was his wedding song.
Oh, that's
And-
funny. I have to watch it.
Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro, great movie and great version. I was listening to your album on the way out to Palm Springs, and I love what you're doing, man. Are you a Stevie Wonder fan? Did you grow up listening to Stevie as well?
Yeah. Oh, I love Stevie Wonder. I don't think he ever made a bad song. I got to tell you. And it's tough for us to pick songs because Stevie Wonder, for instance, you could do a whole show of Stevie Wonder. He had that many hits and that many great tunes. And so now I'll do, My Cherie and more in the show. And we've added Signed, Sealed, Delivered into the show because it's a great tune also. And we'll end up adding probably another Stevie Wonder tune at some point as well. But he sang so many great songs. And I do a show called Summer in the 60s in Vegas. And we have quite a few Stevie Wonder tunes in there. And I'm really looking forward to that. We have Uptight in that show, and the whole show is choreographed. And so we'll be out in Vegas this June with a group called the Motortown All Stars at the South Point Casino. We did it last year. The show thankfully sold out every night that we were there. And we hope to do it again. And it's going to be so much fun in June. I'm really looking forward to that.
Are you going to be in the theater or the lounge there?
We're going to be in the theater in the showroom.
Awesome! What a great showroom.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful place. The showroom is like top notch. The sound is great. The lights are great. The seating is great. There's not a bad seat in the house. I like to say that all the time. And I've done it 6 times already.
That's the best place in Vegas, man. That's the best showroom because it's not that big where it's like but it's like you're right. It's just the perfect size. It's like I saw Tony Orlando there, and of course I think I met you there on the Dennis
That's
Bono
where we
show.
met backstage, yeah, on the Dennis show.
On the Dennis show. So that's going to be great. And then you're going to be out there. What days is the Motor City All Stars? Do you have that?
We didn't announce the date yet. It's coming out, and it's supposed to be coming out within the next couple of weeks. They're going to announce it. It's the 13th, I guess, 13th through 15th of June.
Sounds like a nice time to go to Vegas. It's not too hot.
Yeah, I think it'll be it's actually 13th. What is it? 14th, 15th, 16th. 14th to the 16th of June will be there, and they're going to announce it soon at the South Point. But I'm really looking forward to that. The Motortown All Stars are a group of guys from Detroit who have sung with Ollie Woodson's Temptations. They've sung with a lot of other Motown groups as well, and this is the real deal. It's not a tribute to Motown. It is Motown. These guys, the moves are incredible. I spent a month with them learning all the moves for the show, all the choreography. It's great. I got to say, it's so much fun for me.
And the costumes too. Are there costumes? You guys have like the
They do. They look great, and then I come in my uniform as well, and we kind of line up, and we'll do 15 minutes together at the end of the show, and it's really cool.
So are those guys? Are you singing with them? And they like backing you up, or are you guys working? Are you guys doing songs together, or is it kind of like a
Well, it's a bit of both. So I come out and I'll do 25 minutes, then they'll do 25 minutes. Then at the end of the show, we come together and we'll do a 15-minute medley, and I'll do a lead song and they'll back me up. And then we'll just do songs together and take parts and a whole Temptations medley. It's a lot. I'm already getting anxious about it. It's a lot of fun. It was really the highlight of my year last year.
Oh, nice. And you're smart because you're well, you have a great manager, Joey. He's
I
really
do. Yes.
and he knows this business inside and out. I know that he's done a lot of these. He knows what music hits home.
Yes.
He knows what people listen to, and it's really clever that you're picking the songs and you're doing what you're doing because
Yeah. It's
yeah.
about how music makes people feel. That's what we always think when we choose a song for the show. It's, what does this song mean to me, and what would it mean to people, and how would it make them feel? We don't just sing songs because we like them or because we feel like, oh, it was a hit, we should sing it. They're songs that are meaningful, even if they're the up-tempo fun songs.
And did you have any when you were in high school? Were you part of like the band, or did you do this stuff, or how did I mean? I know you're a grandfather, but did you perform this stuff like when you were growing up?
That's a funny question. Actually, my teacher forced me to be in the men's choir when I was in high school. I was nervous. I was shy. I didn't want to sing in front of people. I had stage fright. She forced me to join the men's choir, and we did. I did. And miraculously, when I joined, the teacher wanted to do like a Frankie Valli medley with the men's choir. So I figured that was right up my alley. It was my music. And then we sang in the Still of the Night by the Five Satins. So it was really up my alley because now we were singing doo-wop. And we were invited to sing on a show that the Lions Club was hosting, that they put together at our high school, a rock and roll show. That was my idea. And the men's choir sang on the show. And of course, the day of the show, half the kids from the choir showed up. And we had like 20 minutes to kill to open the show. And they asked me, "Can you sing?" I said, "Well, I guess," because we had to kill time. They wanted me to sing some songs of my own. And that was really my very first time on stage in front of a crowd. So I did sing with the men's choir, and then I did sing some songs of my own too. And I was so nervous. But the feeling I got after, from being on stage and seeing the audience clap their hands and move around and smile, it was something I'll never forget. And one thing led to another.
And then at what point in your life were you like, okay, I'm doing this. I don't really care? Because I talked to Charlie a little bit, and I think he was telling me prior, because we were talking about arranging and working. There's a saying that we say, especially in jazz, because I'm a jazz guy, and they say you want to make $1 million in jazz, start with 2 million. And I think,
I would say that's true for a lot of music.
and then he said, I don't know. Do you really want to do this? I think he was saying, you really want to spend money on this, And then he said, you were so successful and pretty quick. You're already kind of like, seeing benefits and returns on doing this album, because it is an investment. You're investing, forget about just the money alone, the time, and you're a sharp guy. You could have went out and probably done a million different things, but you chose this. What was it that was just like, I'm doing this. I don't care.
Yeah, well, I tell a lot of people now I probably could have bought a Bentley for what all the music cost, but it was so much more worth it putting it into the music because it brought me so much more joy and other people as well. But the final decision for me was I saw a video of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons performing at the Capitol on the 4th of July. And I saw the crowd and how happy they were and how excited they were to see Frankie. And I said, if I could have 1/10 the size of that crowd and make that many people happy, I would be so happy. And I would love to do that. And after watching that video, that's when I called Joe Marioni, my manager now, because we had been working together and talking about doing stuff. But that's when I called him and I said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I'm totally sold on it. And that was 1 week before the entire country shut down for 2 years. So talk about perfect timing.
Well, yeah, you had time to practice and you had time to
Well,
record, I guess.
it was really, as horrible as it sounds, it was a blessing in disguise for us because I got to spend a lot of time with Joe that maybe he wouldn't have had because he produces 70 concerts a year around the country. So we were kind of stuck together for 2 years working on arrangements, finding my voice, recording 5 albums that we recorded, and we did them in the studio. The players had masks on at the time because we couldn't even be in tight spaces. It was crazy, but we got a lot done in those 2 years, and I'm very grateful for the 2 years we had together.
I liked the stuff that you did too that I was listening to. I don't know if it was prior to that, but I was listening because I was talking to Joe and we were talking about you know, I said, most of the time, most of the people that I know are inspired by American songbook jazz tunes. And he goes, well, he said, Chris has some of those, listen to this and listen to that. I want to play something that I played when you were on the live show last week when we were on
Yes.
WOND in Atlantic City and people loved it. I got a ton of responses.
Oh,
I
good.
want to play a song that everybody really, this isn't a song you hear all the time. But this is a song that just kind of, I think it shows a little bit of the depth of you as a singer.
Yeah.
And this is When Sunny Gets Blue. I want to play this for everybody.
When Sunny gets blue, her eyes get gray and cloudy, then the rain begins to fall. Pitter patter, love is gone, so what can matter? No sweet lover man comes to call. When Sunny gets blue, she breathes a sigh of sadness, like the wind that stirs the trees. Wind that sets the leaves to swaying, like some violins are playing weird and haunting melodies. People used to love to hear her laugh, see her smile. That's how she got her name. Since that sad affair, she's lost her smile, changed her style. Somehow she's not the same, but memories will fade and pretty dreams will rise up where her other dreams fell through. Hurry, new love, hurry here to kiss away each lonely tear and hold her near when Sunny gets blue. People used to love to hear her laugh, see her smile. That's how she got her name. Since that sad affair, she's lost her smile, changed her style. Somehow she's not the same. Oh, but memories will fade and pretty dreams will rise up where her other dreams fell through. Hurry, new love, hurry here to kiss away each lonely tear and hold her near when Sunny gets blue.
Okay, so talk about that song. What was it? Why did you pick that one? What was that song? What was it about that? Was that something that
Well,
you'd heard or?
that song is on my piano album, which is called Quiet Nights, and we decided to record the album because I did a fundraiser during the pandemic when we couldn't go out and do shows. I did it in an empty theater. It was a live broadcast with just me and a piano player, Mark Barron. You may even know him actually. He's from Jersey. So anyway, we did this broadcast together, and I realized how much I really love singing with just a piano. I mean, I love singing with a big band, but there's something special about singing with just a piano because you have so much room to stretch your voice and do things that maybe you couldn't do when you had a big band with you. So that's when we decided to come out with a piano album. So we recorded a whole piano album with Christian Tamber, who you probably know as well. He works with Clint Holmes a lot. He's an awesome piano player. And we created that album with him, that When Sunny Gets Blue is on. And it's always been a favorite Mathis tune of mine. And we kept it kind of true to the recording, but the arrangement is a bit different. Christian really took it to a whole nother level, and he did that with the entire album.
You know, a lot of these guys that I listened to, and I was talking to God, who was I talking to about this? Maybe Joe. And we were saying, they go and they do America's Got Talent. Because, I'm friends with Sal,
Sure.
who's a young contemporary, and also Landau, who won 2011, who I met, 2012. We've been working together for over 10 years now. And I know that these guys, a lot of these guys go on the show, not just these guys, but other guys, they go on the show and then they do well, and then they come off the show, and their experience for the most part has been with singing with tracks. They hadn't really gone out there and done, and now they have, and now they're, they've been doing it a ton, but it really doesn't set people up for the career for working with musicians and being able to, you show up for a gig and you're like, let's say you're in Cleveland, Ohio, and this is the rhythm section because you're not, I don't always fly with the rhythm section. Sometimes I got to pick people up that are there. This is what you got. This is what you got for tonight. You got to make the best of it. Have you had to deal with that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I've been very fortunate that I have been able to carry, my music director, piano player, and now I've been carrying my drummer, and we do pick up musicians along the way. But we've been very lucky that we've had some really great, talented musicians pretty much everywhere we go. The bigger problem for me is the sound. We don't always have the greatest sound on stage, and you have to be able to hear yourself really well, because if not, you strain your voice, or it just doesn't sound right. You can't feel it. So for me, the sound is really important. So, of course, yeah, there have been times where the sound hasn't been great and it's tough to get through the show, but you do it and nobody notices because it's just hard for you. The crowd still gets the same great show,
Well, and this is the thing though that we talk about. Like I was talking, like, you go out, and Michael Feinstein started singing in piano bars. I mean,
Yeah.
he went out and he said, I went out there and I was working in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s in Los Angeles, and I'm playing in piano bars. And, he talked about Mabel Mercer, and he talked about, some of these singers that he had listened to. Mabel Mercer sometimes, he said, would sit in a booth with people and sing and sing directly to them at the table. And at the piano bar, there's people around you. You can actually look at people in the eye and actually, like, and you learn, I think, to connect with an audience doing it the way that you're doing it. You're doing it the way that you're doing it. You're actually learning the way, this is the way they did it 30, 40, 50 years ago. There wasn't reality shows. I mean, you went and you're working with some of these older guys, and I'm sure you have some people that have taken you under their wing. Joe and some of the other musicians. I know Landau was working with a couple of the guys from the Temptations and the Platters, and they had a show. I know it changed his outlook, because he started working with some of these old guys that really kind of drove it home. Have you had some? And Clint Holmes is a perfect example.
Sure. Well, that's the best way to learn. I'm not the kind of person that's good at sitting down and reading a book at how to do things. I was never a reader in that way. But I'm good at watching somebody do something and then taking it and doing it in my own way. So I really learn by watching others. I mean, I learned a lot by watching Bobby Rydell. We had a lot of shows together over the last couple of years, right before he passed away. And he was one of my favorite people ever to watch, because He loved the craft. He loved the audience, and he really loved what he did all the way to the end. And I learned so much from watching him. And of course, I've seen the Righteous Brothers many times now, and Bill Medley and Bucky. They've been so great to me. They've even come to see my shows. I mean, who am I that they came to see me? It was so great. But I've learned a lot from them. And of course, like I said, Clint Holmes, I owe him so much because I really learned so much from watching him and others. I learned something new every night. You know, if you could take a little something from every show you see and every person you see, even if you learn what not to do, you're still learning stuff.
You know what? Speaking of Bobby Rydell, let's play a little Volare from
Okay.
the Sings album. I love Bobby. I was pretty friendly with him and got to work with him a couple times. And God, you're right, he was definitely a character. But
Best.
let's play Volare. Let's play Volare, the
Okay.
song that Bobby made famous. And actually, he actually had more. He had a bigger hit than anybody with this
I
tune.
got the best version of it.
Best version. Here's Chris Ruggiero, Volare.
Let's fly way up to the clouds, away from the maddening crowds. We can sing in the glow of a star that I know of, where lovers enjoy peace of mind. Let us leave this confusion and all this illusion behind.
All behind.
Just like birds of a feather, a rainbow together we'll find. My happy heart sings. Your love has given me wings. Yo, yeah, yeah, yeah. La da 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 da. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's fly way up to the clouds, away from the maddening crowds. We can sing in the glow of a star that I know of, where lovers enjoy peace of mind. Let us leave this confusion and all disillusion behind.
All behind.
Just like birds of a feather, a rainbow together we'll find. Your love has given me wings, little baby. Your love has given me wings. Oh, honey, your love has given me wings. Nel blue, di pinto di blue.
Okay, so Chris, talk about that arrangement of Volare, and did you record that as a tribute to Bobby? Was that the intention?
Well, the intention of that entire album called Time was to kind of close the chapter of my career where I was singing songs like the recordings. That album is really for the purists, the people who like the stuff exactly the way it was, exactly the way they heard it back then. So like Volare and Can't Take My Eyes Off of You from that album, and some of the songs we played before are pretty true to the record. And then after that, I came out with the I Am Chris Ruggiero album, which of course was a departure. The songs were all unique arrangements and Charlie Clello arrangements and stuff. But the Volare record you just played is similar to the original recording, and there was nothing better we could do with it. It's such a good record. How do you change it?
So do you think that moving forward, because I mean, I like some of the stuff that we played earlier, even though it's like the record. It's not like like the original recording. But here's my question: do you think that when you say close that chapter, do you think that you'll ever go back and do anything like that again, or is it all moving forward now? I mean, it's, you have a long way to go. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, moving forward, recording wise, whenever we do the next recording, it'll definitely be the unique arrangements, Charlie Colello arrangements, stuff like that. But for the most part, that's what it'll be. And in the show, though, we still do some songs like they were originally recorded, like a "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" or an Unchained Melody, stuff like that that you just can't change it because where do you go with it? It's so great the way it was. And not to say these other songs weren't great the way they were, but there were just other things we could do with them.
Yeah, and you're really smart about it too. I mean, like, sometimes you need a couple of the, you know, I mean, okay, here's it. For instance, this weekend I just was in Palm Springs and we did a 50th anniversary of the city of Rancho Mirage with the symphony, and the Frank Sinatra Enterprises lent me, I'd say, 8 of the original Sinatra charts that
Oh,
I never do. I've done it a couple times in my life. And I really didn't want to do it, but I did it because it was cool. I got permission from the family. I'm not trying to copy. I'm not going to ever be as good as Frank with his charts. So we did the first half of the show as a tribute to Frank, and then the second half of the show I did with my arrangements that are my inspiration for carrying the music forward. I like it. I like doing that. I like that you have some of those tracks to kind of show people where you came from and then where you're going. I think it's clever. I think
yeah.
it's, yeah.
We like to, throw in a tune once in a while that, of course, is like the original, and for the people who maybe want to hear, the original songs the way they were. But for the most part, 9 out of 10 songs are changed and like same as how you do bending these standards, these rock and roll classics.
Well, there's a guy that I used to go watch all the time. It was a saxophone player by the name of Teddy Edwards, and I don't know if you know him, but from the '60s in L.A. And he had a big hit called Sunset Eyes. Big hit. Incredible saxophone player. I was a bartender at a jazz club, and I would go to the jazz club every night. I worked 4 or 5 nights a week, and some people would pack the place. This guy would have a line out the door when I got there,
Wow.
and in the way he took his saxophone out of the case was even cool. Just the whole thing about him was cool. And then he would always start the show off with a song that everybody knew, like something simple. Like it was just like he would just start off the show, and then by the end of the show, he's playing his original songs. And I said, Teddy, what's the secret? Why do so many people come to see you? And he says, give them what they want, and then you could take them anywhere you want. And I said, that's really clever, and you're doing that.
I agree with that 100%. At first, you give them what they want to hear and win them over, maybe if you have to. And then after that, you can really do whatever you want because you've already got them in the palm of your hands.
So, Chris, have you always been? I don't know. Your voice is high. You have a lot of resonance up in that upper register. Have you always sang that way, or is that just your natural voice?
Yeah, it is. And I used to sing much, much higher when I was 12 years old. But once you reach 16, your voice drops a little bit. But but I do still sing, I guess, pretty high. And I hope I can keep it that way.
No, man, it sounds great. You really are
Thank
a talent. Well, hey, man, I want to thank you for coming on the show. This has been great, and I hope the people listening come to your show or your birthday show at the Lyric Theater on, is it April 7th or 5th?
April 5th.
April 5th. April 5th. And I want to thank you for being a guest here on Bending the Standard. We got to have you back on.
Oh,
And I know you're traveling the country, so go to chrisruggerosings.com and check out all the shows. You're going to be in Vegas in June, and anything
Yes.
anything else across
yeah.
the country where you might
Yeah,
want
New
to
York,
plug?
New Jersey, Massachusetts. There are a lot, and I do forget sometimes, but you can find all that on the website on chrisruggerosings.com and on my Facebook page and Instagram, and you can find all the places that I'll be.
Well, folks, you've been listening to Bending the Standard. Damiani. This has been brought to you by Highgate Hotels, home of the Park Central and the West House Hotel in the heart of New York City. Just blocks a weekend. Have a great
Thanks,
weekend.
Dave.
See you next week.
Legends loves the arts.